Welcome to the Gangneung Hockey Centre and day 4 of PyeongChang 2018, the Paralympic Winter Games. You join us for the final day of group stage action, and our finale in Group A is a skirmish of the Scandics. It's Norway against Sweden. Both with fantastic history in the para ice hockey world when it comes to Paralympic Games. Norway, 5-time Paralympic medalists. Sweden have been on the podium 3 times themselves. However, neither will achieve such glory this time around. But this is a question of who will reign supreme in Scandinavia. A bit of history to be made in this one as well, with Lena Schroeder, the only female para ice hockey athlete out of the 135 here in PyeongChang, looks to take to the ice. The only second female to do so, the first being Bri Mjæsen-Øyen back in 1994. And this is why the two teams will not be getting the medals this time around. Norway and Sweden at the bottom of the Group A standings, and mathematically they cannot pit Italy into second position. Taking care of this one, Japanese official in the centre, Satoru Yamaguchi, and alongside him to his right is Young Chi Jae and Jan Vanek to his left. Sweden yet to get a goal in their first 2 games, a 17-0 drubbing against Canada, followed by a comfortable 2-0 defeat against Italy. As for Norway, it was the Italian defeat for them in overtime on day 1 that has been their real killer, as they only got the 1 point. Italy have done enough since to make sure it will be them going into the semi-finals. But this all about pride, and the tickets back to Oslo and Stockholm respectively will not be booked yet, as the matters of who will be finishing between 5th and 8th are still to be decided in front of what is, as ever, a noisy and vibrant crowd here in Gangneung on the northeast coast of the Republic of Korea. Espen Hegde, for him, another frustrating campaign in the Paralympics for Norway, only their second ever Paralympics where they won't get a medal. As for their starting roster, they don't make too many significant changes, and once again, clopping up the minutes will be number 3, Rolf Eidar Pedersen. Similar for Sweden as well, and Erik Wikström's side, with Niklas Ingvarsson, their number 3, being the main man. He's clocked up more minutes on the ice at these Paralympic Winter Games than anyone else, Ingvarsson. 83 minutes in just 2 matches, which is near enough unheard of. It just shows how vital he is to the side. A Sweden team short on defensive options. Peter Nilsson, a prominent part on the back line as well. As for the 2 goaltenders, there is a change in that format, with Kissinger Deng making his first appearance here at these PyeongChang 2018 Winter Games. Ulf Nilsson, a regular in goal for Sweden. He'll be hoping for a much quieter game than what he's had in the previous couple of days. We are moments away from puck drop at the Gangneung Hockey Centre, which already in these Paralympic Games so far, the first 4 days have been absolutely magnificent. What will this one have in offer? A bit of a local affair, a bit of extra bite expected. Only one winner to come out on top by the end of it. The final great game of Group A. It features Norway and Sweden, who lock horns and do battle for the 6th time in Paralympic history. The crowd are ready. The players are on the ice. The officials just waiting for the green light. They are, I think, wanting to clean up a bit of excessive ice. As Lena Schroeder on your screen there, looking set to be the 2nd female para ice hockey player in Paralympic history, and the first in 24 years as well to make an appearance. The Swedes with a smile on their faces, despite their precarious position in the Group A standings. And the players out on the ice right now will just have to ensure that they don't get too cold out there with the lack of movement in anticipation for puck drop. The linesman is still in the corner, the Korean official, PyeongChang, to the right-hand side. And now I think he's going to go and have a conversation with both benches as well, is he? He's gone to get the sweeper. And the squidgy will do its job of just mopping up the excess water on the far side, and that'll just be shoveled into the Swedish bench. And once Chae Young-jin is happy, he can go to his team of officials and we can get underway. Lena Schroeder, 24 years old, made a Norwegian debut back in 2014, and she's also been part of the European women's side as well, as the para ice hockey program in the women's world is beginning to grow, and it might not be too far down the line, and we have a full women's para ice hockey team at the Paralympic Games. But we'll wait and see if that is the case. It's certainly becoming a bigger and bigger sport around the world, and particularly in the main hotbeds of para ice hockey, such as the Scandinavian nations and also North America as well. So, take two. Now we can get going here at the Gangneung Hockey Centre. The crowd had already warmed the voices up, not like they needed the encouragement. Puck drop seconds away. And away we go, a repeat of the first ever gold medal match in 1994, the inception of para ice hockey at a Paralympics back in Lillehammer. And on that day, it was Sweden who came out on top. It was a tight affair, but a lot has changed since. And the likes of the North American nations and also the East Asian nations as well joined these two on the scene and made it a lot more competitive. And Varsson getting his first challenge in there on Bogle. And he's going to get to maybe even 100 minutes by the end of this game, which just in the course of 3 group stage matches is a heck of an achievement. Solberg with a low effort there. He's just nicely battered away by Nilsson, and then a big collision again from Hamra this time on Ingvarsson. As these two nations certainly well aware there is no love lost between them. Jarla does well to get on the inside of Oyseth, and he's just waiting for Kasperi to make the burst over the blue line. Nilsson the one to mop up, no relation to Ulf Nilsson, the Swedish goaltender. But Peter Nilsson just as much of the fabric of this Swedish outfit than his namesake is. Varnes and Mang making friends in the centre there. And Peter Nilsson again, the man to get up the second pickings. It's Norway with the territorial advantage here, but Sweden are certainly putting themselves about. You wonder how much fatigue will have a part to play with Sweden recycling the same 7 or 8 skaters out on the ice. And that takes its toll after a while. This is Klake. The deepest the puck has been so far inside Norwegian territory. And good job being done on him by Meng here, really marshalling him towards the face-off circle. Holm. He goes for one from distance, and that looped over Deng, who was quite a bit out of his crease there. And he was taking his chances towards the Norwegian goaltender, quickly retreating, and I don't think he's going to come out of that blue area much more often, especially in the next few minutes. He's a big goaltender kissing to Deng. 1.97 metres, but when you reduce to the size you are in the sledge, it seems a lot closer an affair. First penalty of the game has been given, and it's going to go against Norway, this, for an elbow. And coming across to the near side, the linesman just assisting in that. This is the incident. And it's entering Varsson, and the elbow there is from Varnes, 36-year-old. Also the partner of Lena Schroeder, but not the same sort of love affair he's got with Ingvarsson, it seems. First power play of the game. It goes the way of Sweden. And Norway on the shorthand for the next 2 minutes. Norstogger gets his first involvement as Norway make their line change. And so far, Sweden just keeping with the same five that started this one, which is to be expected with the limited options. Kasperi, the star of the Swedish team, who was just trying to get a tickle towards goal. It was well wide of Dane's net. And Norway doing a good enough job just to see it out of sight. Peter Nilsson. Bogle, first one forward for Norway, and Norstogger will back him up, and Norstogger almost got the interception there on the pass from Kasperi. Holm tries to whip the puck around the backboard, but doesn't find a yellow jersey, but he certainly squeezed the pressure onto Sweden. Ingvarsson has it now, pirouettes with a bit of room. He's got a laser of a left arm, but will opt for Nilsson instead. Now Ingvarsson again, two options on the far side. Holm, and now Kasperi. Really felt the full force of Pedersen there, but now it's the opposite number 3, Ingvarsson. He's good from this range, and Deng with the first save of the match. And he had to be alert there with Kissing again. Nilsson forced into the corner with Kasperi alongside him. Was put into a really good area. Ayala wasn't there. Still Sweden scrambling around for the loose change. Ingvarsson again from range. Will he have another crack? He will, and again Deng is his nemesis as he tips it away over the bar. And Ingvarsson is enjoying the sort of room that you'd expect on a power play, but he's not made the most of it because of kissing a Deng. And now on the shorthand, it's Norway at the other end with Hamra, and this is a real opportunity, and he clatters into Nilsson, who really was brave there to get involved and deny Norway what would have been a goal on the penalty kill. They're back to full strength, but there's a lot of needle involved in this one, and that's what the crowd have come to see. Goalless after the first 5. And Varner's back on the ice, and he gets a bit back from what he gave out a few moments ago, and Holm will get the same punishment in a few moments' time. The referee has his right arm up, and Norway on the delayed penalty right now. And now play halted. Mark Holm there with blood rushing to his head has now made himself the next man to sit out a couple of minutes. Morten Varnes is not making many friends in the Swedish ranks, but Norway could gain from that with the power play. Now they almost gained from the penalty kill. Martin Hamra, the 29-year-old, a teacher by trade, was taught a lesson in how to save by Ulf Nilsson. That it was a strong stop from a man who just never seems to age in goal. Swedish goaltender. Roughing then against Mark Holm. As we get ready for this face-off. And now it's an opportunity for Norway to try and make a player extra count. Sweden came close on a couple of occasions when they had the upper hand, but didn't make it count. Norstogger will look to make sure he ensures that now. Bogle just trying to get away from Ingvarsson, and that is a very difficult task because he's made out of Velcro. If you manage to shrug him off, you've done a very successful job. And Nilsson, no messing, just tosses that behind the goal line. And Deng, is he thinking about getting out the crease again? I don't think he is, which is wise after what occurred in the first few moments when he was almost caught out. Norstogger. Norway spreading themselves across the ice well, but Sweden are more than a match for them at the moment. And there's about a minute left of the Norwegian power play. They've made little of it so far. Bogle twisting his way inside of the first challenge. Now it's Norstogger just trying to put a lid on things. Varnes, always trying to keep the puck ticking over. Sweden not letting them, but Rakos was away from Varnes for a moment. Bogle, and now Nordstoger, who's got 2 assists to his name already this tournament, and he hits it wide, almost got himself the first goal of these Paralympic Winter Games. Sweden riding the storm again, and seemingly are coping much better than they have done so far when under the cosh in the first 4 days of action. They don't look as rattled, and they look more cohesive than they previously have done. Solberg's got Varnes in so much space, and it wasn't the greatest bit of control from him initially, Varnes, who is reluctant to use the left blade. Now Pedersen, and he's so good at just skipping his way through. He more or less was the master of his own downfall there, just halted a bit too quickly, and his sledge didn't like it, and it wanted to keep on going, and he lost complete balance. But Sweden are back to full strength, and they've marshalled out that last 2 minutes there without any trouble at all. And there has been a lack of incident around Ulf Nilsson's net so far, just the one collision that he had with Hamra. Apart from that, it's Deng who's been forced to extend himself and make the saves to keep it at 0-0 with Peter Nilsson near at the heart of Norwegian territory, and it's come this for Gilstein, and it's somehow gone wide. That looked like the net was destined to ripple, and somehow it spins its way past the far corner. And Gilstein almost getting his first Paralympic goal. Now at the other end, great tempo to this one. Solberg now has not got the beating of Peter Nilsson, and Peter Nilsson is outnumbered. Solberg, the captain, with another opportunity to chance his arm. Avdal now trying to poke things through, and Cederstam on the ice, but beaten, and Solberg hits it wide, and that was the first opening that Norway have had when camping themselves inside the Swedish end zone. Backer, Gilstein just gets his body across and does enough. It's not pretty with Gilstein sometimes, but the job is effective. Sweden make their changes, and they're not going to be caught out, and that's a heavy clash with Meng on Avdal. Fair one that the referee was happy with, and Erik Wikström right now will be more than happy with how Sweden are dealing with things. But there are still 6 minutes remaining in the first period, and it only takes a moment for Norway to create that bit of inspiration and strike. Pedersen, he usually has the key to unlock the door, but that is very well intercepted by Holm, who had Rakos out to his right, who was just holding himself on the blue line like he was waiting for the gun to go in a 100-meter race, but the teammate of his couldn't supply the pass. Now Hamra, reverse pass from him. It's very congested, and this is exactly how Sweden are going about this. Making no apologies for that. Sweden frustrating Norway, and the scoreline for them right now exactly how they'd like it. Both goaltenders making the 3 saves each. It has been that close. Norway with more puck possession and perhaps a bit more territory as well, but not making that count due to the yellow plug that sits in front of Ulf Nilsson's net. And then, like Noah's Ark on the far side, they're coming twos with Sweden's pair, the dominant out of the duo. Holm, oh, it's straight to Backer, and that was a big chance. Ulf Nilsson has rescued Holm and rescued Sweden as well, but the pressure will not disappear because Sweden will be a man down, and Per Kasperi is the guilty party on this occasion. But Ulf Nilsson moments before with more heroics. He just never stops, the Swedish goaltender. And how Adnan Bake has missed that. I don't think he's too short. Kasperi off the ice then. And he is the key part of the offensive line for Sweden. This is the chance for Gilstein. Oh, Deng, I think, has just got a miraculous touch on that. Gilstein watches that well because that puck was on its end there and it was spinning around like a sixpence. But at the other end, Norway have had their opportunities as well, and that's careless from home. He should have been punished. Nielsen wonderfully has kept that out. Now, Daniel Cederstam is also in the penalty box, and that was a team foul. Kasperi off for the meantime for the next 2 minutes. It was a double checking by Kasperi. 2 5-minute penalties, and one of them will be served by Cederstam.
Penalty to be served, 2 minutes by number 17, Daniel Cederstam. Back to penalty 10 minutes and 42 seconds into the first period.
Backer. This is going to be tough for Sweden. Backer has got the reverse of Pedersen, who will just work on the outside and take the scenic route. As he arcs around, will he go for the outside shot? He tried it, but Ayala could just pick up the dead puck. Pedersen not being able to wrap the blade around and release the venom. Backer making up the meters now. And with him all the way is Rakos. Backer tries to give him the merry-go-round. Neuseth on the ice, looking to make an impression, the youngster. Back it goes, and the shot is on, and again it's Nilsson, who is to the rescue. And Emil saw him, was the latest to fire in. Here it is again, and it was from a bit further out. Gilstein lost his balance. And Sorheim thought he could sniff out gold. One thing that Sweden have is the taller individuals like Gilstein and also Hedberg as well, and that makes it difficult for them to motor across the ice as quick as those with the lower weights. Here is Hedberg now, just dumping it into the corner as quickly as possible. It's the first save of the power play that will go now, and 30 seconds remaining of it. Bogle going alone, and eventually Holm responds. The full-back for Sweden make it now a 3 as Rakos sells himself, and Varnes has got room, and he fires it into the centre where there were 2 red jerseys, and neither of them get the rub of the green there to see the puck come towards their stick. See to stand back on the ice, and so Sweden are at full strength. Kasperi will be off for the next 10 minutes, however. Nordstoga picks it up and has found a corner and a gap that didn't seem to be there. There was no daylight at all. Nielsen seemed to have his windows closed, but somehow it's advantage Norway, and Nordstoga with his first goal of the Paralympic Games, on top of his 2 assists he's already got. Wasn't that needed for the Norwegians? 2 minutes to go in the first period, and they lead this all-Scandinavian affair. Norway 1, Sweden 0. That came out of absolutely nothing. Bogle deserves a bit of credit as well, but Nordstoga has made Nielsen not feel so good about himself, as he was saving everything that was coming his way before that. the Swedish goaltender, but that perhaps a bit more simple. The sheer pace of the puck, even in red face perhaps. Gilstein. Meng was the man near the board and sort of hesitated there as Solheim came towards him. Pedersen, as cool as you like, you'll never see him hesitate. Very experienced head and some strong shoulders. Well, Pedersen. Solheim now, we can see the white space in that far corner, but there's too much purchase on the puck. That will go out for icing. So a minute remaining of the first period, and a goal for Norway, which you didn't really feel like was coming. Here it is, Bogle just doing enough, inadvertently I think, to get it towards Nordstoger, and that is Gylif Nilsson, who took a chunk off the puck, but not enough of the speed and zip to get into the corner of the net. Lena Schroeder is on the ice. It's her first appearance at the Paralympic Games, and she makes history, the first female on the ice at a Paralympics since 1994. Klake, well, cool as you like, picking up his stick before battling away for the puck. Ayala, just as casual, leans on his side and says, "I'll have that, thank you." Meng now, and there's Hedberg in the centre, and Deng has been forced to stretch and stop the puck from going completely across his goal. Chance for Norway to make the line changes. Meng, you could see he had the two options in yellow, and he didn't really go towards either of them. He thought he'd test out Deng instead. Face-off is hotly contested, and Sweden almost came out on top. Deng had to be assertive and move that away. As Hedberg gets his stick onto the ice, and Gilstein's thread forward is blocked by Hedberg. The two colossal figures in the Swedish ranks, they're getting each other's way. Varnish. Going alone, Varnish, and off balance as he hit that. Still on goal, and Nilsson had to apply some authority. As the end of the first period goes, and I lost complete track of time there because it has been that gripping the first 15 minutes. It's absolutely gone by, which has delighted the thousands that are here inside the Gangneung Hockey Centre. Those in red will perhaps be the most relieved at the end of that, after managing to find their goal thanks to Knut Andre Nordstoger in a game which was pretty tight, and Sweden performing better offensively than they have done so far, but still with work to do. It's the first intermission, and Norway are leading 1-0.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Unattended property could be considered a security risk and may be confiscated by police. Please keep your belongings with you at all times.
안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 방치된 물건은 보안상 위험 요소로 간주되어 수거될 수 있으니 개인 소지품 관리에 주의해 주시길 바랍니다.
These two proud para-ice hockey nations locking horns, and after the first 15 minutes, not much to separate the two in the first period. It is Norway who managed to get the breakthrough. They were knocking on the door with those 7 shots, only one of them being converted by Knut Andre Nordstoga, the 35-year-old, putting it past Ulf Nilsson, who has been not as busy in the first period as he has been in previous days here at the Gangneung Hockey Centre. Some big saves as well from Kissinga at the other end, the Norwegian goaltender, with some work to do during the first Swedish power play. However, Niklas Ingvarsson on 2 occasions well denied by the big Norwegian in goal. Some of the Swedes, well, if they stay awake, they might see a goal in their Paralympic tournament. Of course, after this, both sides, despite failing to progress to the semi-finals, will be alive in the 5th to 8th classification matches. But Kissinga certainly having some work to do, maybe more than he expected prior to this one. The last time these two sides met was at the World Championships in 2017, Norway thumping Sweden by 6-1, but thanks to saves like that from Ulf Nilsson, doing the dirty work in the crease and almost being dragged into the crowd as well in the process. This save from Kissinga, not apparent on the naked eye, but certainly important. Gilstein denied what would have been his first Paralympic goal. Chances for the captain Solberg also passing by, and also saw him having the chances, Hamre as well. But this could have been the breakthrough. And again, Ulf Nilsson having to spare the blushes of Mark Holm on that occasion, who dallied with the puck in a bad area to do so. From the hash mark, Bakke missed. Judah Nilsson's superb reflexes once again. This the 6th meeting in the Paralympic Games between these two sides over the years since the sport was first introduced in 1994. It is Norway who have the upper hand, and they have the upper hand in this game due to that, and very uncharacteristic from Nilsson as Nordstoga just slipped it through and it slithered into the net. And Nilsson, you could see his reaction there, just sinking to the ice and wishing it could swallow him up. It won't do, and he'll be back for the second period, that's for sure, which is a couple of minutes away. Norway the first to come back onto the ice. No changes for goaltenders as far as they're concerned. Kissinga getting his first couple of periods here. PyeongChang 2018 under his belt. Sweden led back onto the ice by their veteran, the 53-year-old from Malmo, Ulf Nilsson, his 3rd Paralympic Games. And in those previous 2 Paralympics, Sweden failing to medal. The last time that they did so was in 2002, and they got a bronze then in Salt Lake. Before that, they'd got a gold in '94 and a bronze as well in 1998, but the medals have dried up since, as the other para-ice hockey programs around the world have really begun to accelerate. Norway hoping to accelerate out of sight of Sweden. It's going to take a bit of work. After the first period, it is the team in red leading the battle of the Scandinavian outfits. And Erik Wikström will be hoping that his side will battle away like they have done so far in this hockey game. Espen Hegde, always with a bit of a concerned look on his face. One of the younger para-ice hockey coaches is Espen Hegde, but it's been a tough job for him in recent major tournaments. Norway such a force. Sochi 2014 was the first time that a Norwegian Paralympic outfit hasn't medalled at a game since 1994. And they're not going to do so in 2018 as well, but they can still finish on a high and a win against Sweden will go some way to doing that. We're underway with the second period, and it is Norway leading, going from left to right in their traditional red, and Sweden just in their traditional yellow, right to left, as Bogle picks up the puck and immediately heads east. Stogger now. Bogle getting himself about early on. Trespassed Ingvarsson like he wasn't there, but it was a heavy contact from Bogle. And gets that back under his spell. Norway trying to come out with purpose and get Sweden on the wraps, because for too long in that first period it was a cagey affair where Sweden were swallowing up any spaces that Norway were wanting to penetrate. Stein, puck behind him, and the puck sliding out for icing. Worth mentioning as well that Per Kasperi will not be on the ice for the first 5 minutes or so of the second period, as he was serving a 2+10 penalty. The 2 minutes served by Cederstam, but Kasperi still off the ice due to that check into the head and neck area. So a blow for Sweden, who will not be as offensively potent without him, but could still perhaps nick something. Pace not their forte, but they've got grit and they've got a lot of heart as well. And for players like Peter Nilsson, they've certainly got a lot of time clocked up also on the ice so far in these Paralympic Games. Oyseth, a 19-year-old, looking fresh as he goes head-to-head with Ingvarsson, and the tug of war is won by the latter. That battle almost recommencing there towards the backboard. Backer getting involved with Rakos. And another icing against Sweden, who try and clear their lines but always struggle to pounce on the second puck. Crowd still enjoying things as Klakegg leads the ice, and Norway with the line changes. They've been more consistent with the line changes than they have been in previous games. It's a case of like for like each time, not mixing things up too much, Norway. Peter Nilsson, that's intelligent, and that's fierce from Ingvarsson as well. First real battle between the number threes we've had, him against Pedersen. Two of the linchpins of these two respective outfits. Now a bit of territorial pressure for Sweden, who try and get into a central area, and where they can be threatening is indeed that sort of spine of the crease, but Kissingadeng is easily down and easily stops the puck dead. Rakos just trying to get it through the red brick wall. Another face-off won by Norway. That was one thing they were particularly dominant at in the first period. Total managing to get an impressive percentage of 75%. Hedberg comes from him as he sprays into Bogle. Again, Ingvarsson and Pedersen meeting one another, this time on the near side. Ingvarsson will be the one to survey the scene and perhaps turn defence into attack. Sweden on the transition with Hedberg making way. Norstogger there first, but Sweden will get this one back. Rakos, what can he do with it? Checks nicely away from Bogle, and then he tried to tee up someone in yellow in the centre, and Norstogger easily gathered, but whenever Norway are a bit rattled and Sweden put on the pressure a wee bit, it just seems to be a case that Norway succumb to the less attractive style of hockey that Sweden adopt, where they do the hard work first before they let any flair come into play. Solberg Great burst from Klakeg, and maybe Norway were just a fraction over the blue line there before Klakeg was the recipient of that puck, and the offside is called and a face-off to be had in the neutral zone. Sweden try and plot their way back into this, with Norway still leading by a goal to nil. Nielsen again getting a handle on things. He's asking a bit of Gilstein there. And Klakeg instead is the one that provides the answer. Gilstein on the second attempt has it now. Where's it going to ricochet to? It's with Barnes without him knowing, got ball under his sledge, and that's one difficult thing these athletes have when it does get stuck under there, and particularly on the skate. They have little idea of where it is, and they can quickly become disorientated. And also under the sledge, it could be a wonderful place to protect the puck from the opposition and hog it for yourself. And Varsson, a master of that in the Swedish ranks. Gilstein. It's not with it there, and he is on the second occasion. It's a hefty load to carry, and those in red just comfortably flying by him on occasion. Nielsen taking a chunk out of that puck, and that'll allow Varsson to completely take the sting out of it and bring it away. And Avdal, and that's well behind Oyseth, and Norway having to retreat back into neutral territory. Klakeg. Almost a team there against Holm. He was fortunate to get away with that. Oyseth almost made sure that Sweden wouldn't get away with the eventual punishment of a goal. Again, not much occurring in terms of goal-mouth action, but this game ticking along at a rapid rate. Oyseth again, and that is wide, and Varnes trying to prod one back on the rebound. Well marshalled away by Peter Nielsen, and Varsson panicking. And you know when he's panicking that it's rough times ahead if you're Swedish, and Klakeg now taking care of the puck. Nielsen, a combination of him and Meng getting their teeth stuck into affairs, and the puck is over the red line and back with Norway. Now Pedersen strolling into the attacking zone, and the shot from Backa is dealt with by Nielsen again. It was a busy first period for Ulf Nielsen. Safe for him in the second period now as well, as these gloves once more are being warmed up. It's the opportunity again, a slight bit of room for Backa, who was just waiting for the right moment to release the ammo, and Nielsen denies it from meeting its target, which was marked for that top corner. Well, Eric Wikström, who turned 37 on the day of the opening ceremony here for PyeongChang 2018. Previously been head coach of Swedish Division 2 side Mjölby. Spent 3 years there before succeeding Jürgen Lundström at the Swedish para ice hockey helm. An uneventful second period so far, as Lena Schroeder has just been mashed into the corner with Rivera, who's also on the ice as well, as Norway are experimenting with that third line. In Varsson, and Rivera has shown him where to go. Now Schroeder hasn't got too many red jerseys around her, and she's forced back to the blue line. Norstogger's waiting should she want to choose him, but that's a very intelligent pass to Rivera instead, who just didn't take the sting out of the puck and bring it into his control. Pedersen just worming his way away from yellow. And Nordstoga, the goal scorer, the only man so far to show that moment of brilliance needed, and even then it needed the help of Nielsen, who failed to do what he's done so well so far in these Paralympic Games and stop the efforts coming in. Ivarsson, Rakos, Swedish players not really ready to receive the puck there. So used to being in defensive mode that when they do try and make that transition to attack, they're not really ready. 7.5 minutes remaining of the second period. We're halfway through this Group A game, the final Group A game of PyeongChang 2018. Norway lead by a goal to nil. And Varsson bursting there first. And that sort of energy could inspire some others in yellow as well to take account for this situation, because Sweden are in this. Then puts it into an area that he favoured Pedersen, who used the sledge first to go into Ingvarsson, once again making the most of that extra bit of kit that these para ice hockey players have with them. But there's a fine line between doing that and then getting the team call as well. Hold. As the gate is slammed shut on the Swedish bench to stop the puck going away. Norway at 6s and 7s, and now Pedersen can take hold of things and get Norway moving back up the ice again. Now Nordstoga, and it's Hamre with him. And he just collides into the other 20 instead, in yellow, Rakos. And then a penalty coming up, and it's going to be against Hedberg. And Hamre was just left on the deck there with his stick away. And Christian Hedberg, the 36-year-old floorball world champion in 2010, using his 1.95 meter frame there to send Hamre into the next Paralympic Games, I think. Interference, he's out for the next 2 minutes. Good news for Sweden's Per Kaspery. He's available again after his 10-minute individual penalty. And Kaspery will be the one to shut out the space that Pedersen was hoping to enjoy. That room has opened up again for Hamre instead. In fact, it's Bakke with the puck now, and Pedersen on the overlap, and this is menacing. Sorheim couldn't get his stick on the end of that one. Klakke with Oysef 3 with him, and it's number 3, Ingvarsson, who again has been solid for Sweden. Goodness knows what they would have done without him, and Nielsen the same, and showing exactly why there. Don't forget me, he says. I've been just as important to this Swedish side as anyone. And again, comfortably collecting despite the vociferous nature of the puck coming towards him. That really swung through the air, didn't it, from Bakke. And Nielsen so good at extending himself, proving again to be more than just a handy pair of gloves. Nordstoga. Kaspery just trying to ruffle the Norwegian feathers at the moment, but they're staying intact. Solberg, the captain. Norway enjoying a bit more of possession. Now they have this power play, but they spent a minute of it without a goal, and then they get the second. Bogle has finally put a nail into a Swedish coffin, which surely cannot be reopened now. The 22-year-old from Rosenborg has golloped that one up after it was put on a plate for him by Hamra. And Norway, are they out of sight now? They lead by 2 goals to 0 against the Sweden side, who have a mountain to surge upon. There's a smile from Espen Hegde. We've been waiting for that. And Magnus Bogle has been waiting for that goal as well. Five minutes left of this period, a period which, reminiscent of the first really, looked as if it was going to drift away towards a goalless affair into the intermission. But once again, Norway just managing to get that moment to put the puck in the net. And that one was very well worked. Norway on the power play, making the most of their man advantage. Pedersen. And there is Rivera with him, but Pedersen may go alone. Why not? Tries to chicane his way through the yellows in front of him. Rivera now hunting for home, and Meng will shove it away down that right channel. It was on the red line, and so no icing called. Gilstein up against Schroeder. And just a flick away from the Norwegian. And has seen them regain possession. Pedersen using the pick end of the stick before flipping it around and trying to do the business with that as well, but dispossessed. Norway reflecting the score that they won by in 2014, which was the last time these two sides met at the Paralympics. Bogle was on the score sheet there as well. And he's looking to supply the goods for the number 20 Hamra. Now, wasn't grabbed there. Well, it was a close call in Varsen with a bit of desperation stretching across with 2 arms wrapped around him. Hedberg back on the ice, of course, after that second goal, and he's getting a bit stuck on the near side. Play halted. 3 minutes remaining of the second period. Hamra with the industrious work away from Nilsson. And across it went. In between Varsen and Ulf Nilsson. And agonisingly, it's Bogle to comfortably finish that move off. Norway 2-0 up. Hedberg. Nilsson, will there be room? No, they won't, but Kasperi maybe can do something, and it was the right pass for Hedberg, and it was just deflected away from him by Pedersen. Otherwise, that could have been Sweden halving the arrears. Bogle cannoned into by Nilsson, and Hedberg, the recipient of that loose puck. Kasperi against Pedersen with Rakos involved, but that opens up the room on the far side for Norway to begin to negotiate the way out of trouble. And away it will completely go, and will Sweden be able to work things back from square one. In Varsen, Kasperi, nice take. Hasn't stuck to his stick that, but it took off the pace that allowed him to get towards it on the second occasion. Bogle wasn't allowing that to be the case. Norway not allowing Sweden any time with possession right now. Solberg. Gilstein just darting into his shadow. Strong again from Ingvarsson, and Solberg loses his stick. It's been a blood-filled affair, this. Fairly contested, and a lot of heart involved. There's not been an awful lot of quality, but It's never going to be that sort of game. Sweden don't allow the opposition to be as fluent as they want to be. Kasperi back for Rakos, and that will slip into the neutral zone away from Rakos. And the battle of the number 20 will comfortably won by Hamra and Ivarsson. Such speed on the ice, and he has an unbelievable bit of stamina about him. And he's also took part in wheelchair curling. Well, I think that man should be taking part in wheelchair racing. Varnes, no teeing against Ingvarsson there, although it looks suspicious. Then a loopy pass. Well, it's difficult for Solberg to grasp, as the crowd really enjoying these collisions between the red and the yellow. Kasperi, Uyseth the latest to get his teeth into affairs, and Abdal now, he's being pursued by a trio of yellow, and he's going to negotiate his way out of that. And Norway have navigated their way through the second period in a reminiscent fashion to how they did so in the first. Just the one goal for them to shout about this time around, coming courtesy of Magnus Bogle after the wonderful work from Hamra, who just put it on a plate with a knife and fork either side. And Bogle said, thank you very much, bon appetit. Norway 2, Sweden 0, and the Swedes have quite a way to go to turn this around. here at the Gangneung Hockey Centre. It is Norway who in the second period encouraged their grip on this contest against Sweden here in Group A of the Para Ice Hockey. They managed to get a second goal thanks to Magnus Bogle to add on to the earlier goal in the first period from Knut Nordstoga. It was a much closer affair, that second set of 50 minutes, but Norway making the most of Sweden's man disadvantage and capitalising on a power play which Sweden didn't really need to concede, and I am sure that foray of yellow and blue will have something to cheer about by the end of this game. For the rest of the crowd, well, they've been making lots of noise all the way through this match so far, and they're just saving themselves for when the two sets of players reappear from their respective tunnels. Norway, the 1998 Paralympic gold medalists, against Sweden, the 1994 Paralympic gold medalists, both left dreaming of yesteryears, as they will not be qualifying in the top two out of Group A. However, that has not reduced the level of speed and ferocity about this game so far, and both goaltenders haven't been as busy as they may have been in the games against the likes of the United States and Canada, but still they've had to be ready for whatever's come their way, and they have been excellent at either end. Kissinger-Deng and Ulf Nilsson, the latter beaten on 2 occasions, but both in that same corner, and both as just frustrating after all of the industry he's put into this game so far. That goal from Bogle, the only one in the second period. Is there anything more to come in the final set of 5 minutes? Will Espen Hegde be smiling again come full time? Norway 2, Sweden 0. And puck drop for the final set of 15 minutes is just moments away. Bogler's goal there is his second against Sweden at the Paralympics. He also scored in 2014 in Sochi. That was a 2-0 win as well in the final Group A game of that Paralympic Games. And there's somewhat of a deja vu about this as well, with the same scoreline right now. Unfortunately for Norway, it won't mean the same end result of progression to the semi-finals, which they managed to get 4 years ago. But nevertheless, an opportunity for them later at PyeongChang 2018 to finish inside the top 5. These two have so much weight in terms of history involved in para ice hockey. They formed the first gold medal match in 1994 in Lillehammer, which Sweden came out on top in the shootout. And only Canada have also competed at every Paralympic Games since para ice hockey's inception. These are two big nations on the para ice hockey map. However, they have struggled in recent times to keep up with some of the accelerating programs, such as those in North America, East Asia, and more eastern parts of Europe. First time Norway have failed to qualify for the semi-finals, but the second time in their history they've put on the ice a female athlete, the only female out of the 135 that are here, and have made their way onto the ice so far at the Gangneung Hockey Centre, where Ulf Nilsson and their Kissinger-Deng are gearing themselves up for the final 15 minutes of action of Group A here at the PyeongChang 2018 Paralympic Winter Games. Norway have the upper hand in this scuffle between the Scandinavians. Will it be the same complexion in 15 minutes time? The crowd are ready. The players are ready. Officials will be soon. We're about to find out. Underway, and Ingvarsson releasing an early drive, which was never going to ask any questions of Kissinger Deng. The radar not quite what it usually is with Ingvarsson, who went close on a couple of occasions in the first period. Now Mang, bit of an opening for Sweden, quickly shrouded out, and then he loses his balance, and that was a clear sighter there on Deng's goal, and I don't know if they're going to get any more opportunities like that. Bakker now, weaving his way in and out of Ingvarsson, and Varnes there to help as well, and Nilsson has just parried that down, and he was waiting for someone in yellow, I think, to come and take it away and launch an attack. They didn't, and so he stopped it dead instead. But Morten Varnes didn't really have much room to aim for there. The hammock pretty well guarded by Ulf Nilsson, and despite the room that Varnes had, he couldn't find a corner, and it was low and skimming towards Nilsson, who applied the right amount of pressure to stop the puck from going behind him. Ingvarsson has Kasperi making inroads ahead of him. Kasperi surrounded by red, but taking it wonderfully well. But doesn't really have the agile athletes around him there to replicate that. Kasperi. Pedersen seems to make it out as though he's got all the time in the world, and he usually does, despite the best efforts of the opposition to shroud him out and nullify his threat. This is Bakker, and his release for Varnes, but straight down the throat of Nilsson. Goal back for Sweden will make things interesting. That cannons off the helmet of Meng and towards the far side. Kasperi just negotiating his way past the referee, and also Pedersen there. Now Gilstein trying to prod things back for Ingvarsson. Gilstein, not the most elegant. Nilsson hits Schroeder. Towards the far side it goes, and Kasperi tight angle. Deng saves, and Sweden have scored. And they do get off the mark at PyeongChang 2018, and Gilstein with a big goal that halves the arrears and gives Sweden an opportunity here to level things up against their great rivals. It's Norway 2, Sweden 1, and finally those in yellow have something to cheer about. It's an inventive finish from Gilstein, isn't it? Just slotting it under the sledge, and you can see lifting the leg up there as well to get the sledge uplift and the room underneath to put it into the back of Meng's net. That makes things interesting. Ingvarsson and Norway immediately reverting back to their preferred line. They have been using the third line intermittently over the course of this game, and will they regret that? Plakeg tries to spear the puck into a corner that Solberg can give chase to, but that was zipping away like a laser. And comfortable for Ingvarsson to negotiate. Kasperi now. If anyone was going to score, you'd expect it to have been him. He did have a part to play, as it was him and Nilsson assisting with that goal, which is timed officially at 31-35, scored by Maximilian Gilstein. As Bogle at the other end looks to get his second. As if no one wanted that puck there before Holm came around to lay claim. Klakeg stick handles, but loses his bearings, and Meng making the most of the Norwegians' disorientation, and then a line change defensively for Sweden could cause problems, because Bogle is through and nearly put the game to bed. Will he a second time round? There are as many red jerseys in there as yellow ones, and that could have been Norway being the masters of their own downfall. That'll go for icing, but this game has gone up a gear since that Sweden goal, and the last 11.5 minutes are going to be encapsulating stuff once again here at the Gangneung Hockey Centre, which seems to be a theatre for drama and a real hub of excellent sporting moments so far. Will we get one or two more before this one is out? Pedersen, back A square, he'll go alone, and goodness me. Well, I don't know if Nielsen's heart skipped a beat there, but I certainly held my breath for a moment. Nordstoga end-to-end with Kasperi. And loose it goes, but Meng is the man back on defensive duty now, and he completely loses the plot there before sliding in and nudging it away at the nick of time, but the pressure is still on. Varnes. Pedersen's effort is blocked by Nielsen. This game going viral red knots right now, and it's a steam engine that is not running out of coal. Pedersen, always the man to slow things down and slightly take the wind out of things. Ivarsson likewise, but an error from him, and Varnes pulls it back. Bakker didn't respond, and then Oyseth still managed to get a shot away, but the Chancefield went as soon as Bakke let the puck slide across him. And there are nerves again among that roster of red that were not there 5 minutes ago. Kasperi. Gilstein the scorer, and he's part of this uber press right now with 3 yellow jerseys around Nordstoga, who, well, that just encapsulates his performance in this tournament so far, Nordstoga, as he's now turned defence into attack, and Oyseth is more concerned with Gilstein than he is the puck. Eventually has time to thread it for Hamra. But this is getting tasty out there, out in the rink right now, with Norway leading by 2-1. And the time ticking away for Sweden to level things up. Chance for a breather. A rare one, but Oyseth almost putting things out of sight. He just didn't muster the venom required. And that's one of the more comfortable stops Nielsen's made. Klakeg, and he found a gap, but the final block of the building to break down was Nielsen, and he's the most sturdy of the lot. I think he was saying to the Klakeg, you try me from that distance. This is the goal, and maybe a disappointment for Deng, but Kasperi puts the proposition in there, and he knows that if Deng doesn't supply the right answers, then that's going to be on a plate for Gilstein. Indeed it was. It goes in, and now we're at the position we are with 9.5 minutes to go, where Sweden are a goal away from their first point of the Paralympic Winter Games. Chance for both coaches and their team to pass on their words of wisdom. In terms of face-offs, look at that. Things have really swung around now in favour of Sweden. That wasn't like that at this stage in the second period. Sweden stealing. Can they steal something? Garson being tracked by Bogle, eventually manages to free himself with that arcing movement, and then the yellow shirts he saw on that left-hand side just vanished. And so the puck going out for icing. There was no surprise, and Norway can set up camp once more in Swedish territory. This time the face-off won by Norway. It has been a very much 50-50 affair. And Bakker just dribbles his way straight into Varnes now. Varnes hits the outside of the post, and that was a big chance. Well, Ulf Nilsson on 2 occasions has been beaten in his bottom right corner. And that was the destination of that puck there, if it wasn't for a lick of paint on the pipe. Sperry tries to flatten Nordstoga, but himself comes out worse. Pedersen, we've not seen too much of him inside the Sweden zone, and I wonder if he has just been reserved due to the possibility of a Sweden offensive play. Gilstein completely unaware and was more focused on getting off the ice. The minutes going by, and Sweden without any goalmouth pressure ever since they got one back. Pedersen does really well to bring that one down, but then the offside was given. Pedersen catching that one dead, as Varnes thought he may have squirmed one in. And Nilsson may have had that covered even if it had been on target. You can see at the top of your screen those of a yellow persuasion and those of a red as well. They've made the same sort of trip from Scandinavia. And it's certainly a long one. And they won't be going back with medals, unfortunately, at the end of these Paralympic Winter Games, but a couple of wins under the belt would certainly be nice. Hammer turning into trouble, and Meng is offside there, but it's not been given because it may have come off a red stick last, and so Avdal will continue things as Norway look to progress from the back and just put Sweden out of the game and kill any hope they may have. Bogle, who got the second, and now it's Hamra, and that's cheap concession of possession from him. Ingvarsson now on the move, and that's going to be a delayed penalty, and it's going to be against Hamra. Now, is this the opportunity that Sweden were searching for, as it will come about as soon as Ingvarsson loses it there? The delayed penalty still ongoing from the referee. He's waiting for Norway to have a proper control of the puck. They do now, and indeed that was very much a delayed penalty. It comes around and will be welcomed by Sweden. And the elbow call being made there by the referee Satoru Yamaguchi against Martin Hamra. And he will sit out the next 2 minutes. And how pivotal a 2 minutes will it be? Sweden having a bit of a negotiation on the far side, as this is the offence from Hamra, just leading in there with the elbow. Varsson dodged it well. Sweden have called a timeout here. They are 2-1 behind, but they have a 2-minute power play to come. Well, Erik Wikström in the background there, just letting Timo Latien doing the talking for him. And he's got out the clipboard and the green marker pen. Well, words of encouragement, but Will there be words that lead to success? Norway similarly at the other side having a chat as well. This is a big 6.5 minutes in the final period. Martin Hamra out for the next 2 minutes, and Sweden have a power play that they need to maximise, otherwise I don't think they'll have a better chance of equalising. Sweden will go balmy if they manage to get one. Norway managing to score earlier on from their power play in the second period, and Sweden muster up something similar in the third. First phase comfortably dealt with as Norway strap their seatbelts and expect the Swedish onslaught to come. Kasperi working from deep. Nilsson, as his fellow defenseman in Varsson spreads towards the far side. Kasperi just trying to protect that away from Bakker, but he doesn't succeed. And the seconds tick away for Sweden, who have to get the puck up the other end. This is not ideal at all as Meng gets it trapped under his sledge, and Norstogger will just try and keep it there and batter away with two sticks, chopping with them, and Oyseth nearly got one on the shorthand for Norway as he bladed it over the bar. Nilsson, as Sweden I don't think have broken out of their own half on this power play so far. It's not working, and the Norway team chat has obviously paid off more and the Swedish one. There's still 30 seconds left of this. Now frustration for Sweden, who make a line change just when Varsson was trying to knock it down that far side. And the linesman just saying to Meng, reverse that change because we're not allowing it. The icing was already called, as that was a lot closer than I first thought from Ola Oyseth a few moments ago. 23 seconds left for the penalty kill for Norway, and kill it they seem like they will do. Klakkeg, and Varsson has two yellow jerseys breaking towards the Norwegian blue line, but again he's not allowed the room to show us what he can do. And Norway have done a job on Varsson. They have stifled him and thwarted any sort of threat that he can pose in this game. Nevertheless, he's still battling away hard like the competitor he is. As Norway are back to full strength and they can compete back on a level playing field again. That'll go for icing. And Sweden, since their goal, just haven't managed to use that as fuel for momentum. It seems to have evaporated, and they're going to have to go back to the service station quickly and top themselves up because there are 4 minutes to go. The chance is still there for them to get a result here. Varsson again has those in front of him to work with. Kasperi one of them, and superbly well checked by Klakkeg into the near ball. Varsson again, straight away they're onto him, like they have been all game. And now it's the opposite number, Pedersen, who hasn't been so influential like he usually is, but he seems to always be that calm head on the last line for Norway. As a glove just goes astray there, and I think that's a glove of Ingvarsson's, and so he'll be getting his kick back on while Norway look to make the most of the space left behind. And Erik Wikström is hoping to mastermind at least a point out of this, and there are still 3.5 minutes left to do it. Sweden do pull out special moments. They qualified for this event back in Östersund on their own backyard in October 2017 with some late winners. Whether Sweden win or lose here, the crowd will have had a good time, most of them anyway. As the crowds just grow and grow here at the Gangneung Hockey Centre, and so does the level of competition as well. Kasperi got Justine waiting around the crease for a second opportunity to get on the score sheet. Ingvarsson trying to catch out Deng, and that's positive from Ingvarsson, who did have a bit of room there, and with just 3 minutes remaining thought, why not? Deng denying it from going in and keeping the scores at Norway 2, Sweden 1. Deng conceding just the 1 goal so far in his first game of these Paralympic Winter Games. Lives in Oslo, and he missed 3 years of action after Vancouver 2010 after a pressure ulcer that he suffered. Born in Sudan, he fled civil war and went to Egypt, and then after suffering his injury, he was offered the chance to move to Norway by the authorities, which he of course took up, since became a Norwegian citizen, and now is representing his nation at the biggest stage there is in para ice hockey. Nilsson lobs one, and again it's over Deng. And if he was a little bit further back there, Peter Nilsson, that might have been the most audacious goal that we would have seen at these Paralympic Winter Games. Klake spooning it towards Nilsson, who's on the left this time, and Bakker is making sure that it's a place where Nilsson is not wanted. Oyse. Composed from him, but straight to Ingvarsson it goes. Sweden have been more of a match for Norway in the final 2 periods. They'll be disappointed they conceded in the first. Maybe disappointed they've not tested Deng a little bit more than they have as well. That will go for icing, and Sweden will move back and park up in the Norwegian defensive zone. Erik Vikström. Well, there's not much more he can say now. Deng showing that he can deal with the simple tasks. Norway out on top this time around when it comes to the face-off. Klake tries to move it away. Ulf Nilsson has gone out of his goal, and there's an empty net as Sweden go gung-ho. Will it pay off? Ingvarsson, saved by Deng. Well, this is the last throw of the dice from Sweden, and goodness me, they're hoping they get a 6. Ingvarsson chancing his arm, he always goes high, and Deng is a difficult shot stopper to beat when it goes for the roof of the net. Hedberg in there, a chance for a shot that's low, and Deng does really well to get that at the second time of asking, because it almost slipped like soap out of his left hand. It's more sweat than soap on the Swedish bench right now. And Deng, calmness personified, keeping that one out. Kasperi is outfought and outfought by Bogle. But Sweden, with the extra man on the ice now, after sacrificing Ulf Nilsson, are just giving it everything they have got, and they've lost in the 50-50 challenge, and Norway are going to wrap this up, are they? Bogle for his second of the game, motors forward, and he's going to score and put this one to bed once and for all. And Norway have had to sweat for this one, but Magnus Bogle at the double has given Norway a 3-point haul, which is well received on the far side by the Norwegian contingent. And giving everything he could there was Mark Holm, stretching across. But Bogle was always the favourite to score. Sweden have given it everything, but Norway are going to gain everything. It's Norway 3, Sweden 1. Well, they had to do something, Sweden, to get an equaliser, and they tried all they could. It wasn't to be. And Norway will get another Paralympic win against Sweden, and this will wrap it up with it. Bogle wants the hat-trick, and he's not as clinical on that occasion. This will be the 4th Paralympic win for Norway against their rivals on the border. And it'll taste sweet in what has been not the tastiest campaign for those in red. They will close out the group stage with their first win. Pedersen wants to get one before the buzzer sounds, and nearly did as he bashed it wide, and that is full time. And Sweden may end the group stage as pointless, but they will not end it goalless. They managed to register in the final period, which made things very interesting indeed. But Espen Hegder at the end of that one, likewise those as well camped in red, can smile and look back on what has been a group campaign with just one defeat in regulation out of the 3. They'll look back to the Italy game on day 1 as their stumbling block. But on day 4, they get a win against their rivals from Scandinavia, who have pretty depleted looks on their faces. Lena Schroeder making a bit of history as well for Norway, who will hope that this will be a token of things to come, and that the women's game, as a result, will grow as well. Norway are the victors in Group A, and they win this by 3 goals to 1. Magnus Bogle getting 2 of the goals. The one at the end was pretty routine for him, with the empty net. Ulf Nilsson making way. The instructions from Erik Wikström were just a sign of desperation, and he was pulling out all the stops for the Swedes to try and rescue something and force this to overtime. But instead the gap increased. Sweden had nothing to lose, but it will be Norway who gain 3 points in the finale of Group A. Stats from the 3rd period show it was a pretty even affair. It was the first period really where things to get out of reach for Sweden. who were always behind on the shot count, but the biggest separation was the 7 shots to 3 in period 1. Overall, Sweden were more competitive in this than they have been in their previous 2, but ill discipline on the penalty minute showing there that maybe the game management that they had wasn't quite at the same level as that of Norway. There were some frowns in there on day 3 against Canada as far as Norway are concerned, but on day 4 the smiles are back and that winning feeling has returned as well. Sweden will be hoping to avoid finishing at the bottom of the standings when it comes to the classification stages in the days to come. That will be competitive as to who will finish 5th to 8th. Norway will be in the thick of that battle as well, hoping that they can rescue a top 5 finish. Both sides out of the medals, but not out of these PyeongChang 2018 Paralympic Games just yet. There is still some way to go. But here at the Gangneung Hockey Centre, it is Norway that will move on to the next stage of the competition with that little bit more wind in their sails. An accomplishment for them against Sweden for the 4th time in Paralympic history. It's Norway 3, Sweden 1. Two of the pioneers of world para ice hockey going head-to-head, steeped in history here at the Gangneung Hockey Centre. And as it clears out here at the Republic of Korea, it is also Sweden who will be packing their bags at the end of the group campaign, bottom of the standings. Ready to return though for the 5th to 8th classification round, which Norway will be a part of as well, as they miss out on a semi-final position for the first time in their Paralympic history. But all not lost. They rescue a 3-1 victory against a Sweden side who had hoped towards the end being one behind. But in the battle of the Scandinavian rivals, it is those in red who take it away. Norway 3, Sweden 1.
For your safe return, please follow our staff's direction. 관중 여러분의 안전한 귀가를 위해 지금부터는 퇴장 안내를 도와드리겠습니다. 안내위원의 안내에 따라 질서 있는 퇴장